In this video, I will show you how you can quickly and easily transfer data from the production system to the upstream systems in SAP SuccessFactors Employee Central with the help of FIS ECDataCopy. HR systems are subject to frequent changes, be it legal requirements or internal company changes. Data is required in the development and test systems to ensure that these changes and therefore the processes are correct. These datasets are often created manually. This is time-consuming and error-prone. In addition, the data is often not based on the reality in the company and is only snapshots. FIS ECDataCopy can be used to transfer data from the production system to the upstream systems like test or development systems. This enables error-free deployment of data in a very short time. By transferring data from the production system, the special requirements of your company can be taken into account in the upstream systems, for example during tests. In this way, FIS ECDataCopy supports you in mapping your HR processes in an error-free and up-to-date manner. The simple operation and pre-configuration of transfer scenarios means that the application can be used without technical know-how. This allows that the HR department no longer has to wait for the technical expert to have data available for tests or to provide individual advice to an employee. Now let's have a look at the solution. The application consists of two apps. First, the customizing app for configuring and predefining the transfer scenarios. Then the transfer app for selecting the data to be transferred and carrying out the transfer. First of all, the so-called destinations are maintained in the customizing app. These are the SAP SuccessFactors systems that FIS ECDataCopy should access either as source or target systems. The transfer routes are then stored. All possible combinations of source and target systems can be maintained here. The data is transferred from the source system to the target system. The data rules define which components of a data record are to be copied. Some components must always be transferred as mandatory fields. The remaining fields can be selected based on the use case. This ensures that only relevant data for the specific transfer case is transferred, thus reducing the amount of data and protecting personal data. For each data element, you can select whether any existing data in the target system should be deleted before the transfer in order to avoid data inconsistencies or not to include any developments in the data record in the analysis. Once these basics have been defined, a specific transfer scenario can be defined. A description of the transfer scenario is defined for this purpose. A transfer path and a suitable data rule are selected, and finally possible. Filter criteria are defined, which can be used to select the appropriate data records during a transfer. The transfer scenario is now ready and can be selected for data transfer. The transfer app is used for carrying out the data transfer. The transfer scenario relevant for the transfer is selected. You can then define which person's data records are to be transferred. The filters make it possible to narrow down the data based on various criteria. In this case, a scenario involving the finance department is to be tested. This requires people from the finance department of different countries. Finally, you can select whether individual persons or the entire selection should be transferred. One click triggers the transfer. Finally, an overview shows which data components could be transferred and which could not. In the example shown, the job description was not transferred as it was not defined correctly in the target system. We have seen how transfer scenarios can be defined with FIS ECDataCopy. This pre-definition enables a simple use without technical know-how and reusability for different use cases. The selection of filter criteria enables a targeted selection of data records to be transferred in order to be able to map individual requirements. The automated transfer of data reduces manual effort and the vulnerability to errors. The system-supported evaluation of the transmission process enables quick identification of possible optimization potential in the system landscape or the individual systems. In this way, FIS ECDataCopy supports the correct mapping of HR processes and reduces the time required and the vulnerability to errors.